now having made a podcast about the Master for a year and having studied exclusively Master stories, I am willing to say that the War Chief is.
It's who? It's who?
Hello and welcome to Who in the Whoniverse is the War Chief. So, the War Chief appears in the War Games and is not to be confused with the Warlord.
Yeah, that was so annoying.
I know. Maybe that's why they changed the title. Because it's just annoying.
So the War Games just came out colorized, which is why we decided to talk about this.
Yeah, we're not doing a full episode on the whole story because that would require us watching all 10 episodes in black and white and the color. And anyway, we just want to talk about the War Chief because with the colorization, it has come more into the public knowledge. We were actually going to do this last year, but we never got round to it because things just got in the way. Is the War Chief the Master?
Yeah, and people inside the Doctor Who fandom who have been around for a long time will probably already have an opinion about this. You either think it is or you really don't want it to be.
Yeah.
Or you're probably just indifferent.
I didn't even know, all right? And this is me, Doctor Who superfan here, right? I remember a few years ago, I'd been listening to the 8th Doctor Time War series. And I was really enjoying it. I'm just like, this is great. And one day I was just like, why has no one brought back the War Chief? Like, surely the War Chief is the prime character to bring back in the Time War.
Yeah.
And then through my, because I've never been a particularly digitally literate young boy. In looking it up, I found out this idea that the War Chief was the Master. And I was like, oh. And I'll admit, for a very long time, I was like, no, I don't really think they're the same. No, I don't. Now, having made a podcast about the Master for a year and having studied exclusively Master stories, I am willing to say that the War Chief is the Master.
Which is good because I'm going to be on the opposite side and say I was willing to accept it as a fun headcanon, but I now believe that to not be true.
Or because you read a bloody book.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that it's...
But the book came after, right? Like the book came after. So I think if you were to take into the continuity of the TV series and you had watched the War Games, which is written by Terrence Dicks and Malcolm Hulke, and then, you know, all of the classic Who that we've gone through written by Terrence Dicks and Malcolm Hulke and Robert Holmes and Barry Letts and all of that, I think it is very, very clear that they wrote these characters to be the same character.
I will get into semantics with the fact that I think it's true that these are written as the same character, but they are not the same character. And I think my reasoning comes down to, unfortunately, Hulke and Dix have now both passed, you know, before this sort of occurred. I think it's clear that they write him the same as they write Delgado's Master. But something has happened between that War Game episode and Terror of the Autons where they were not allowed to make the War Chief that character, that they rebranded.
Yeah.
And we know that that there's plenty of interviews where he says, oh, we need a Moriarty.
Yeah.
But the fact that him and Hulke write Delgado the same way they write the War Chief indicates to me that he could just be saying that because he's not revealing only maybe, complete speculation, that they wanted this character to be the villain and they were not allowed to, for some reason, no one knows.
Yeah. Like we've looked.
Yeah, Terrence Dicks does not mention the War Chief at all in any single conversation ever where he talks about the Master.
Yeah. So we have that side of things. And then, of course, we've got the colorization, as we said.
Mm-hmm.
So the War Games was a 1969 story, the last story ever made in black and white. It's 10 episodes long, folks.
Yeah.
Like, it used to, when I was a kid, this is just such a petty little story. And like, okay. So I used to, I'm sure I've said before, to watch Doctor Who, my dad used to have like a membership with video places all the way up and down Main North Road to
Hunting
Adelaide.
for
yeah. So there was a There was a Civic Video or a Movie Land or something like that in Manapara. Anyway, this video club had the War Games on VHS. It is such a long story that they had to put the story on 2 VHSs. They split the VHSs up. You had to rent them separately.
Not one of those nice double VHS boxes that's got 2 tapes in one.
Yeah. No, you had to rent. And I always thought that. I'm like, why? But no, you had to rent them separately. And literally they had the same cover as well. The only way you knew that you were renting a different one was one had like a blue outline and one had like a red outline.
Imagine accidentally getting part 2, renting it, taking it home, and then just not knowing what's going on.
But the pettiness of renting them separately.
You will pay double.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Until I took them home and then did that. It recorded them with 2 VCRs, like recorded playing the other one. Yeah. Who's coming for me now? Like, who's coming for me now?
Movie Land Online.
Anyway, so like it's a long story. It's a great story. I enjoy it. It's got 2 and Jamie and Zoe, the best team up there. I actually just called him 2, didn't I? I didn't say the second Doctor. You're changing me, Amber. You're changing me. And the thing about the colorization is it cuts out a lot of the stuff that, you know, we've talked about before. Is like, oh, you escape and get captured and escape and get captured and escape and get captured.
There's a full scene where Zoe is captured, and then the next time we see her, she's with the good guys storming in to save Jamie and to, like, at some point she's been rescued. We never see that.
Anyway, so these are some of the changes that colorization make. But one of the main changes is they decided to use the sound, several sound effects, in fact, because I'm pretty sure I hear the sort of noise from Terror of the Autons.
Mm-hmm. There was like the Delgado.
There was the Delgado theme.
And,
but then also the very unmistakable theme of the War Master. Like the Saxon Master.
Both of them.
Well, yeah, both of them. The
Master Vanglorious is the name of the track.
Yes, it is. And then also there was a track from Last of the Time Lords, the sort of real electro music.
Yeah. We both knew going into this that it had done this. I think we've both been spoiled. I guess you could call it spoiled. We both knew that this is what we were in for. I assumed it was going to be some kind of small motif in the background when they introduce him. Like, you might just hear a dun-dun-dun-dun. Just to, like, as a hint to people, like, ha ha ha, and wink wink, nudge nudge. Oh no, it dun-dun-dun-dun, 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 and like the Doctor looks at him, freaks out, runs away. He's chasing him. It's playing the theme, blaring at you.
Yep.
It was intense.
It was, but at the same time, hot takes. We are not a hot take podcast, guys. No. We are tepid, lukewarm.
Tepid takes.
Yeah. You can test our takes on the inside of your wrist, and they are fine for baby. Jesus Christ, I'm leaving it in. Yeah. So the problems people had with this are saying that the war chief's the master. I don't like. I think just a bit of music doesn't make it. Like, music does not maketh man.
No.
As someone else pointed out, I think it was Cavan Scott on Blue Sky, said the same music is used for the Cybermen as for the Sea Devils. Does that mean they're the same thing?
Yeah. And I read earlier an article from one of the producers of the episode and one of the current producers of Doctor Who as a whole, and they just decided that it added more stakes and more drama to the moment, to the character.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the way media has progressed from the late 60s, early 70s, in terms of pacing, editing, storyline, it doesn't really hit the same for a modern audience as it would have back then. So they are punching it up. And this is one way they've chosen to do that. And they're clearly aware also of the potential clickbaitiness maybe of it that gets people watching or, gets people talking about it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the colorization of the war games to go under the radar compared to, say, the Christmas special, which aired,
2 days later.
Yeah, so you want to try and get new Who watchers to watch it, and by having all this buzz around, it shows an original version of the Master, might get them to watch it. And it's if it gets people watching classic Who, then maybe that's good.
Yeah. Another thing I keep hearing about this is just people saying, oh, Doctor Who doesn't need to be colorized. Why can't we just leave it with the black and white things? Oh, it was so bad. It didn't need it. And it's like, well, maybe it didn't need it. But, just because the colorized version has been made, the black and white version has not stopped existing.
Yeah, we've still got that whole story, and it's
you can still enjoy it.
yeah, we've got the whole every episode still.
Yeah.
I think it's the only story that they have of that series that's got everything.
They've been carefully animating things as they've been going, so I'm not sure exactly which season it is, but there's quite a lot of the second Doctor that's missing.
Yeah, and I think the bigger crime is that these stories aren't meant to be viewed on HD TVs. They're meant to be on CT shitty screens that blur the image. So when you watch the colorization, it's glaringly obvious that they didn't think that you were going to see everything in high detail.
I also like the fact that they've had to flatten the image because of the natural curve of the TVs and the curve of the lens and stuff. So, stuff kind of curves at the edge of the picture and it looks a bit weird. But I do appreciate that they did not attempt to try and AI upscale it in any way.
No,
because I've seen some really crappy, normal, what do they call it? 410 go out to 1080.
Yeah, I like it being in its original crop.
Yeah, image ratio. There we go.
Yeah, imagery. Yeah.
Okay, so now having said all that, so who in the Whoniverse is the War Chief? So the War Chief is a Time Lord. And also this is the first story that features the use of the words Time Lord, as Paul McGann might say.
Yes, I think in the past they've only ever been referred to as the Doctor's people or they or them. Like we recently read The Dark Path, and because it is set before the War Games. No, of course it is.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's set before the War Games, I think for both of them, but that's
it's set before the War Games, so that author McGinty, he decided not to ever use the word Time Lords in his book out of respect for the fact that the War Games is the first time that phrase is used.
And the thing is, if you watch the War Games, you could be forgiven as thinking that perhaps the name Time Lords might have just been a bit lazy. Because this story features two factions. It features the Warlords and the Time Lords.
Yeah.
The Lords of Time and the Lords of War.
That's true. I also wondered if the 90-minute version cut out the first time they used the word Time Lords.
Yeah, because it suddenly starts getting used towards the end of it, and you're like, oh, okay. I haven't actually sat down and watched the full 10-episode thing in a while. It's been a couple of years for me. But yeah, so the Time Lords first over here. So the War Chief is a Time Lord. The Doctor knows that he's a Time Lord, and the War Chief knows who the Doctor is. They know each other from before, so that's something for you. The War Chief has been working with the Warlords, taking people out of time and using them to fight their wars.
They're trying to breed the best soldiers in the universe. Yeah.
I read a great clickbait article the other day about the Christmas special and about how Westworld. It was talking about Westworld. It was just like, the Christmas special is trying to redo Westworld. And I'm just like,
no,
AI writer, you're really reaching. But I was just like, but the War Games is kind of Westworld. The War Games is more Westworld than Joy to the World.
I read the novel.
Of course you did.
Yeah, it's it was novelized 10 years. How many years? 79. How long?
Yeah, so 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years later.
Yes, and 2 years after the Master was first introduced.
Yeah, and it's written by Malcolm Hulke, who wrote the episodes originally alongside Terrence Dicks, the War Games. Yeah, when the War Chief first sees the Doctor, the War Chief's eyes came to rest on the Doctor. Zoe thought that she detected a moment of mutual recognition between the Doctor and the War Chief, as though they had known each other once. That's it. That's all it has to say.
I mean, the cut that they do in the colorized version is beautiful. The Doctor sees the War Chief and immediately goes, "Fuck,
Zoe, run!" I think he does do that here. Yeah, Zoe, the Doctor breathed urgently. Run and don't stop. And obediently, Zoe got up, turned out, and ran.
The only time in Doctor Who history a companion has ever actually done that.
Yes. Yeah, when he gets introduced, the War Chief entered with his personal bodyguard. He was a tall man, resplendent in his uniform of black with gold and red piping. And that's all it has to say about his appearance. I checked that specifically to see if it lined up with the way Hulk has described the master physically
Yeah.
when he's come in. I think in this novelization, from what I read, it's very short.
Mm.
Hulk is just zipping through.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 10 years later.
Yeah.
Who
yeah.
knows what he remembers or how much he still cares. And also, maybe he doesn't want to spend any time writing about things because he wants to use all that material for the very real, recurring master character he now controls.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, I think we have to really, like, he's got a very odd facial hair. Like, I think we have to point out that Edward Brayshaw, who plays the War Chief, is done up a bit oddly.
Australian representation.
I didn't realize he was Aussie.
Yeah, he's Australian.
Oh, wonderful. But just from a physical, like, silhouette type thing, they are both in grey Nero suits. Both him and Roger Delgado are in grey Nero suits. So that is a straight standing up collar that goes all the way around the neck. Maybe they just couldn't call it the War Chief.
I wonder.
So this might be my thing, right? So they may not have been able to call it the War Chief because if they did, by equity rules, they would have had to offer it to Edward Brayshaw again.
Oh, yeah.
So, and maybe they didn't
And
want Edward Brayshaw.
If he'd gone back to Australia, I haven't quite tracked his career at that point.
Well, it's like a weird, like, this is one of those weird things. The movie Die Hard. There we go.
Mhm.
Die Hard. They had to offer the role of John McClane to someone stupid. I think it was like Frank Sinatra, like something like that, right? Because the character of John McClane is based on a series of books, and that character had been played in the past
Sure.
by him, even though they needed, like, they obviously wanted, you know, it played by someone much younger. They had to still offer it to him by, you know, contractual obligation, which is stupid.
Yeah,
but
that's true. And if they didn't think that Brayshaw matched Pertwee enough,
yeah, exactly.
and Pertwee wanted Delgado to play the role.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there is a lot of very plausible like the thing that we get into a lot on this show is how many I haven't worked out like a specific spectrum or like gauge of like how much headcanon you
Yeah.
need to accept something. I think it takes very little headcanon to accept this.
Yeah.
And I think
I think it's personal taste, this one. It works if you want it to, but
I think the only real muddying waters are the novelizations, which are, let's face it, are a step down in canon from television.
yeah, yes, from television, that's true. I really like The Dark Path, though.
I think so. I have no problem with John Peel stuff. I completely can.
How dare you?
Not John Peel. Sorry, David McKinty. I have a problem with John Peel stuff. I have no problem with David McKinty stuff. Like The Dark Path, Face of Evil. I think they work, and I think the whole idea of Kashai works. Just like I think that in the audio, Parvo works. I think these characters work. I think the one thing that's actually fucking us up at this point is the Gary Russell novelization. What's it called again? Divided Loyalties. Because that actually depicts Magnus Kashai being two different people. That is the one little thorn in this plan. So I think if you completely if you headcanon out Divided Loyalties,
Yes.
I think you can. I'm willing to, like, for us who are here to try and put down a timeline of the Masters, we've been trying to do for over a year now. I think I'm willing to accept Brayshaw, and I'm also willing to accept Kashai.
If you accept that after the events of The Dark Path.
Yep. Well, he even says himself, like, he put him in the black hole at the end of The Dark Path with the idea that he could get out one day and go and do things.
There would need to be, for me, more in between, because I don't think that the Doctor has a reason to have that visceral reaction to seeing the War Chief.
You mean other than the fact that at the end of The Dark Path, he watched the Master completely, like, destroy a planet?
Not that visceral. Like, if it was the first time he'd ever seen him again and you had no idea, was that a one-off? What's he going to be like? Like, he is, like, full-on, Zoe, run and get out of here.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think he has enough motivation.
I think we can. I think Big Finish, if you're listening. I think we can get something in there.
For me, there would have to be something in the middle. Like I say, I don't think they're the same person. I think they are written identically, and without Hulk or Dix's testimony as to what went on that meant that they aren't the same person but clearly are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't accept it, but that's me, and it's good, I think, that we have alternate views on this.
Yeah.
And again, that's just me, and how it's however you choose to headcanon things. But I agree, it could definitely be him.
Let's let's take this moment to sort of open it up. Not that they can actively respond to us. Like, what do you listening think about this? But the thing is, I want to know what you think about it, not just because your friends have told you, or because of because let's face it, the Thushai thing on Tumblr is like a big thing. Like, outside of fan, what is your personal view, given all of the evidence that you have had given all of the evidence that has been put up against this, about where he comes from, who's written him, how the characters stack up to each other, and basically the individual bits of evidence in the books, because we've given you basically everything that we know about him at this point.
Apart from Divided Loyalties, which I will start reading soon.
Again, all I know about Divided Loyalties, I've not actually read the book. I've read the synopsis, and I've read I think I've actually read the thing of you see Magnus in like an image, like a hologram image or something, and it mentions that he's toying with the thing around his neck.
Yep.
The necklace.
Yep.
And like, that's the thing, I think, where some writers like David McKenty, as you pointed out, David McKenty made a very, very strong point of adding to characters but leaving enough wiggle room so that it could accommodate other people.
Yeah.
Whereas I think some things like Divided Loyalties are basically the author writing their own headcanon into the canon.
Yes. Like, Dixon Hulk was still alive when, Dark Path would have come out.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that McGinty was respectful to authors whose characters are still alive. It would have been, I never looked it up, it would have been amazing to see if Dix ever commented on Dark Path and what he thought about it if he read it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But another thing you have to remember is that, I mean, especially where things like this are concerned, for intellectual property, when you're writing for Doctor Who, you have to get the okay of the original creator, which is why the rights of The Unearthly Child are in hell at the moment.
Yeah. So I suppose we also have to remember that it's interesting, isn't it? We know that Barry Letts likes to put his name to things because he's script doctored them in the background, or he claims that he writes a lot of episodes, but he wasn't allowed to because he was the producer, so he had to say that other people wrote those episodes.
Yeah.
So he's credited as one of the creators of the Master.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty clear from the War Games that Hulk and
Barry Letts didn't take over as showrunner until that next season. He was a production worker on that. Didn't take over until that next season.
Again, pure speculation, but perhaps Hulk and Dix were like, well, we've got a character. He needs a villain. We've got one. Here he is.
Yeah.
We want to keep using this character. We like the way we write them.
Yeah.
And Letts might have been like, no, I need to be in control, or I need to contribute to this because I'm the showrunner, I'm the producer. So I want it to be, what if we called him the Master and he was different? You never know, because I think it's clear that Hulk and Dix created this character.
Yes.
And there are two versions of this character.
Yeah.
And
look, and I think it's very, very clear, like you say, what whatever the reasoning was, whether, again, it was a case of they might have had to offer the role again, or whether, as you say, it was just workshopping with a showrunner, and the showrunner was just like, I love what you've done here. Let's just add this and this and this. Like,
I can see if Letts took over, he would want to make the show his own and put his own mark on it.
Because I think it was actually the Master's first season was Barry Letts' first season, because the first season, season 7 with John Pertwee, actually still suffers from a lot of the same problems as the last season of the second Doctor, because they're still running on the 4-4-4-7 period of like working out this, and like the 7 episode stories at the end are always fucking slog. Or, you know, these long serials, which is when Barry Letts took over and he's just like, no, we're doing stories that are 4 episodes long. And, you know, that we're bringing in the Master, and we're bringing in Joe Grant. And
so it could be, the answer could simply be that Barry Letts wanted it to be its own thing.
Yeah.
And not something from the old version. It's in color now. It's going to be changed.
Yeah.
Let's freshen it up. Let's give him a new name. And also now I get to be one of the names on it who's created him. Yeah, I think that could, we've discovered this in real time. I think for me, that could be the answer. And being someone who works in the artistic world, a producer coming in and saying, I like your idea, but let's make it my idea, is a very real thing.
Yes, it is.
And it's such a shame as well, I think, that Malcolm Hulke is not ever credited as the creator of the Master.
It is a shame. Although I believe so. And as you and I often think of it, he's also the one who's most keen to the Master to be gay.
Yes, definitely.
I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but every year there is the Terrence Dicks Fiction Award.
Yeah.
And the statuette is Roger Delgado's Master.
That's cool.
Which is very sweet. I
did think that the War Games was quite gay, with all those men in their little sunglasses and their turtlenecks all like arguing with one another over the war table. No, not biting on that.
No. I liked it. I have to say, Philip Maddock as the Warlord I'd forgotten how hot that was. Like, wow. But no, I can deal with the War Chief. And he almost even has a goatee. He's just missing the beard bit.
Yeah. Isn't it odd that he's never returned?
That's the thing, right? The fact that he's never returned, I always thought it was weird. Like I said, with the audios, I'm like, why has this not happened? And I think, as far as like this idea that he is the Master, whereas some writers, say like Gary Russell and writing the novelization, has tried to sort of separate the two of them, I think, and I would love to ask Nicholas Briggs this, but I doubt he would ever actually give me a proper answer, which is Big Finish's official creative position that the War Chief is the Master?
Yeah. Is that why they've never touched him? Because they're doing him plenty. He's the Master.
There is a post Edward Brayshaw version of the Master of the War Chief in the old Legions of Death, which is the old tabletop RPG. And he just looks like a really badly illustrated Peter Capaldi.
He does.
So bad. I'm looking at the wiki. If anyone from the TARDIS wiki ever wants to chat with us, please do. So in Doctor Who Confidential in 2007, talking about the Saxon Master, the Russell T Davies said, the Master was first introduced in 1971. It was John Pertwee's second season where the production team decided they wanted an ultimate nemesis for the Doctor. Interview of Terrence Dicks, published in Doctor Who magazine 475, looked back on the genesis of the Master in the Pertwee era, while taking it as read that this was the character's earliest diegetic appearance. Terrence Dicks' New Adventures novel Time Worm Exodus, again, like, one forgets the Virgin New Adventures as actually having any bearing on anything. Reveals the War Chief's origins as a one-time political rival to Cardinal Barusa. So that's Terrence Dicks wrote this character to be a separate character to the Master.
Yeah.
But what Malcolm Hulke and Barry Letts felt, one doesn't know. But it says Gary Russell's later novel, Divided Loyalties, delves even further back into the Chief's biography, naming him Magnus.
So that just makes me think it's more clear that that Dix knew exactly what he was doing, and there was producer interference, and then Dix tried to get away with what he could later on once he wasn't under control of Letts anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It also, like, this list here, the lists to anything to do with the War Chief, and it mentions that, like, Big Finish does not make any mention. No. Like, they never mention the War Chief, but very specifically do not.
It's probably just not worth touching. Like, he's an okay character. Like, but he is really just the Master. Like, I'm not going to argue that. They are the same characterization.
What I find really funny is that this particular page in the wiki is a bunch of, like, a list of reasons why it's not the master, right?
Yeah.
But it includes things such as he's not listed, his image isn't with a list of lineup of masters on the website. And it's like, no, it's not. But that's not necessarily proof positive that he's not there. Like, the fugitive doctor's picture wasn't there for the first 60 years. Like, I'm just saying.
All right, we should probably wrap up.
Yeah, there was one article, I can't remember. Okay, so this is a specific line from David McGinty. I'm kind of pulled between two opposites on whether the war chief is the master. Personally, I prefer to think that he is, but professionally, I wasn't allowed to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, producers don't want it. I'm guessing they don't want him to be known as the war chief.
And Dave Rudden said, I am of the House of Hulk in this matter. They're the same in my book. Malcolm Hulk officially
thinks they are.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So somewhere Hulk has stated for the positive. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm correct. I think I'm correct then in that what we have worked out together here, Barry Letts was anti as the showrunner, as all producers are.
Yep.
Wanted it to be his.
Yep.
Made them remake the character so that he could put his name on that character and say, I created this character.
I love that we've done this in real time.
That's, in my opinion, and maybe we're saying the quiet part out loud that none of the people in the show were allowed to ever badmouth Barry Letts. But we're allowed to, so I'm like, so many producers do this.
I am less likely to badmouth Barry Letts than I am John Nathan Turner. Like, let's be honest here. But
forever Barry Letts gets his name on the master, and Hulk and Dix. Hulk is erased. Dix gets to share the credit too.
Well, it's because I think, like, Malcolm Hulk obviously queer coded the character, and he was an out and out communist.
Yeah.
So,
and this is a little off topic, but it's kind of still in it. Here is a script idea that he submitted and was turned down and never got made, and he passed before it could ever be put to them again. It would see the Doctor and his companions land on a parallel planet like Earth, but has clover leaves looking all the same. Women were the dominant race of the planet, whereas men struggle for their own rights. The story was rejected by the story editors multiple times.
Right. Yep. No, fair enough. I thought that was going to be the one where, what was the story where someone like tried to put forward that the Doctor and the Master were like spouses, and the producer was just like glared at them and just pushed the story back across the desk.
Yeah. Let's dig further into the is the War Chief the Master iceberg. Ever seen that where conspiracies the bigger the iceberg, the bigger the conspiracy? So I now realize that Hulk died the year he produced this book.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff in this book does have the lines that are like, you and me, Doctor, we could rule the universe together. All typical Master stuff. Did he know that they couldn't reject whatever he put in this because he was dying?
Oof.
So he just filled it with...
Also, I bet they were just dying for more books, and he was the only one who could write that one.
Yeah, and so he just filled it with as much language as possible that makes the War Chief sound exactly like the Master as his final, like, I'm out.
Look, personally, the note I'm leaving this on is, I'm sure you probably differ, but as far as our spreadsheets are going, Edward Brayshaw is on them. I think he is an early incarnation of the Master. I mean, whether we call him the Master or not, it's the same as the Inventor or other characters. So I think he is definitely an early incarnation. He's on there. If I ever get to do a visual like thing, his picture is going to be with the Masters.
Yeah, I think given what we have come across in our own reasoning of this right now, I'm willing to change positions and say that if Hulk and Dix wanted this, then it is.
Yep.
And Barry Letts got in their way.
Yep.
And that's my official stance on it.
Yep, fair enough. Cool. Join us next time for a probably less heated talk of who in the Whoniverse.
Who? Who's who? Who's who?